Well, howdy folks, how's it going today? I hope everyone's doing really good. Today we got a Gibson Les Paul Standard on the bench here. This is a 2020. Really nice guitar. It's got a nice top on it. It's got some grain going in different directions. You can see it's kind of going both ways down in there, and really fun to look at, but it's also very fun to play. It's a nice sounding Les Paul. They're not all ringers, but this one does sound really well, and it plays nice. So basically what I'm going to do today is change the string gauge. I'm going to go from 10s, that's what's on it now, down to 9s. That's what I usually play, 942s or 948, 46. It varies from guitar to guitar. This one, feels a little stiff with 10s on it, and it feels kind of dry, like the frets really should be polished. So I'm going to do that too, and I know that will improve it, just that alone, actually. They get kind of like hazed over and oxidization on them when you're not playing them sometimes, so it's good to clean them up and get them shining again. Everything plays a lot smoother that way. The action's not great. It's not terrible. There is quite a bit of relief in the neck right now. I just checked it with a notch straight edge, so I just measured this, and it was around 6/64 on the bass and pretty close to the same on the treble. And I know a lot of that is just neck relief alone. Again, I checked it with a notch straight edge on here, and it's got quite a bit of bow. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's enough to raise the action and kind of mess with the intonation as well. So first thing I'm going to do is take the strings off it, and we'll take some more measurements as we go on. I will straighten the neck up here eventually when we change gauges. It may even go back some anyway, just from going down in gauge. So we'll see what happens, and we'll make the adjustments as we go. All right, let's get to it. Okay, let's get the strings off her first here. These are lockers too, so I don't have to do too much. I forgot somebody did change the tuners on this. The buttons are the same though. They look pretty legit, so it is pretty handy to have lockers on a Les Paul, honestly. You don't need to wind the strings all the way down on them anyways, because the headstock's pitched back enough so you get good break angle anyway. Alright, we got them loose. Let's get rid of those. Okay, so these ones you just spin the backs on them. They come right out. It does make it handy for string changes. That's a fact. I'm not a big fan of them on Fenders. I do use them on Fenders, but I still take some raps on the string post with a Fender, just because it doesn't have the break angle like I was saying before, like with these, with the headstock angle. So I don't know, it just could be a personal thing, but that's just the way I like to do it. All right, I'm going to get those off there. Okay, I was going to ask you guys if you were into the top wrapping thing, where you wrap over the bridle back there. I don't. I don't mind the break angle. I know they do play a little less stiff when you top wrap. The only thing with me is I play with 9s anyway, so they play easy enough for me. I find if I top wrap with 9s, it's a little too spongy feeling in the left hand, so I just like to string it up normally. Okay, that's what's going back on her right there. I love these strings. I played those for many years. SITs, and I used to play GHS boomers a lot back then too, and Ernie Ball. But we're going to go with these 942s on this Les Paul, and we'll set it up accordingly. And this thing should really feel a lot smoother, for me at least. Well, I'm going to get some polish out, clean it up while I get the strings off. We'll put some fretboard conditioner on it, wipe everything down, and on go the strings. As I polish this guitar, I can just start to see some faint checking. You can kind of see it. I know there's a glare, but you can see some checking starting to happen. And I can see where it's really sinking into the grain lines. And, you know, when it does, the lacquer has to go somewhere. It can't just go down in a divot and not, you know, move the rest of it. So it has to give. And they just kind of do it gracefully. But this is a 2020 kept in a climate-controlled room as well. I want to add that, but I don't mind it. I think it looks nice. It just gives them a little character. Cool guitar nonetheless. Well, that's looking much better. Get a little bit more to do, and then put some conditioner on the fretboard, like I said before. Again, you know, I just wanted to mention, you got to kind of know that going in. If you buy a Gibson Les Paul, it's going to check eventually. It's just how it goes, and the headstocks break on them. If you're scared about that, then don't buy one, because it happens. They are definitely known for checking and headstock breaks. It's just part of the deal when you own one. But you know, and I get it. A lot of people get really disgusted about that kind of thing. They are expensive, but it's just part of what they are, and you need to learn to accept that in order to enjoy it to its fullest. I don't mind the check-in. I don't want the headstock broken, but, you know, if it happens, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'll fix it, graft it, glue it, whatever I need to do, and get it back in playing order. You know, they all have history, and they all seem to like to break on the headstock with not much of a fall. Unlike a Fender Telecaster, them things, you could like surf down a gravel road on one and it would hold together. Just a whole different breed. But anyway, it is starting to check gradually, and you know, you just embrace it. It's part of what it is. Still fun to play and still fun to look at. All right. Okay, out comes the fingerboard Remedy by Fender Custom Shop. I actually like this stuff. It's just like a clear oil. You just put a drop on each fret, or at least that's how I go about it. And I come back with a rag and wipe it in. And it seems to penetrate the wood really nice. And it's really friendly to use. It's not a big messy thing to do, you know, have to clean up afterwards or anything. You just kind of rub it in, let it sit there and do its thing. And I usually do 2 coats just to make sure. Now, this isn't extremely dry, but as you can see, it really takes it in quick. And you can see it change color too. It'll darken the fretboard up really quick. So again, I'll let that sit for a little bit and I'll do another coat. I know what you're all thinking. You're probably wondering, did he actually let it sit, or did he just hit record again and start putting the stuff back on? Well, you can let your conscience be your guide, but I actually did. Let it soak in really well. You know, it's part of this video thing. You could just kind of skip that and go to the next move, but I just kind of do it, you know, off the cuff and take my time as I do it. It's not great video production or anything like that. I'm not even hinting in that direction, but, you know, I do it legit at least. I'm not just cutting corners so I can make videos for you guys. I actually do it in hopes that you can see the result and see the change. So hopefully that answers any questions. Okay, I'm going to let that coat dry, and then we're going to get some tools out, and I'll take the truss rod cover off. We'll get that opened up. I know I'm going to need to probably adjust it, but we'll see what happens. And the other thing I really would like to do is clean these frets up. So I'll probably give them a quick little shine too, and take care of that. In hindsight, I probably should have done that first, but that's not a big deal. Let that oil kind of sink in there, and I'll cover the fretboard up when I clean them and polish them, and won't be getting no sanding debris down in there. Well, I found some really fine micro mesh pad here, and there's no debris coming off it or anything. It's basically just like a polish because the grit is so fine. And the frets really didn't need anything taken off them anyway. So I just wanted to clean that haze off them that kind of gets on it from sitting around, and just the atmospheric stuff kind of hazes them over sometimes. And I don't know if you guys can feel it, but I can kind of feel that when I play the guitar. It feels like it has old strings on it, and it feels really dry as far as bending notes and that kind of thing, even sliding your fingers up and down the frets. So I like to keep that stuff clean, shiny, and keep everything smooth so it feels good every time you play it. Now, usually every string change, I will do this to each of my guitars. You know, whether they need it or not, it at least kind of slows down the oxidization, and usually I'll run my fingernail across each one too and make sure there's no nicks or divots. I can already tell they're a lot smoother. You know, sometimes you can get a little ding in the fret wire, and if you can feel it with your fingernail, you can certainly bank on it that string is going to feel it when you're bending it. So I like to go over those every time just to make sure. Then it's not such a pain after you've strung the guitar up and have to take the strings off and try to track that down. Okie doke, it's time for some strings. I did forget to add that this is a 1960 reissue as well. Sorry about that, folks. You can tell by the chrome dome knobs there. That's what came on it. And it does have the slim tapered neck. Really fun to play. It does taper quite a bit as it goes down too. So it feels pretty fast, I guess is the way to put it. This is also an iced tea burst. Man, I'm forgetting everything today, I guess. If you're using micro mesh, or if you've never used it, I like to just go side to side like this. I don't need to tape the fretboard off or anything because I'm not touching it with the pad at all. I always span at least 3 frets. If I get down in this area, I'll just span 2 frets, and I'll put a finger over each fret wire on the pad. And I don't push down a ton. I let the pad do its own thing. When I get up here, I'm spanning 3 frets, and we're really not removing anything. It's just polishing. And I can just see the shiny line forming on top of the fret wire here. So that tells me that the rest of it's kind of hazed over, and it was oxidized because now it's just shiny on the very top of the crown. Okay, so we've got a set of 942s on here now, SITs. I just measured the action at the 12th fret here. We're at about 4/64 on the bass and about 3.5, close to 4 on the treble. It feels really nice though, and plays a lot easier. The strings bend easy. It doesn't feel like a spring either. Sometimes Certain fret wire with light gauge strings can make your playing action and just the feel of the guitar feel like a real slinky. Sometimes it's too spongy and just doesn't feel right. It's not like that at all, though. It feels really good. It's kind of, in between. It's just got a great feel for nines. Really low action as well. Now, I like a pretty flat neck as well. A little bit of relief, maybe 3,000, something like that. I keep them pretty straight if they'll take it. As long as they don't buzz, then I'm good with it. I don't play super hard as far as my grip and stuff, so it works out well for me, and I don't like to work too hard when I'm playing anyway, so I do pick hard with my right hand. That's my downfall. It isn't my left, it's always my right. But in any case, I make it work somehow. So, all in all, this one changed quite a bit, actually. I think when I started out, I was around 7/64 action, and the relief was quite substantial. So, this is about where I like to have them. Like I said, I don't top wrap either. I just set it up normally and run it like that. But the next move is to intonate it. I got to just check that out, make sure it's pretty good, and this one will be ready to roll. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the support on the channel. I hope this information helps you guys out. I mean, there's just a few little things you have to do to make them feel good again. Cleaning up the fret wire, I think, is pretty big. And just checking your relief and check your action height. Check your strings. If you stick your fingernail or your finger underneath it and you feel little dings, they gotta go. They're not gonna stay in tune well after that. Once they've been kind of knackered by the fret wire, it's time to change them. So, that's all according to how hard you play and how often you play. So just keep an eye on it. That's the biggest thing. And if you notice your guitar's not staying in tune well anymore, then those are a few things to check. Well, I'm going to get on to the intonation here, and then I'm going to go and probably plug this thing in and enjoy it for about a half hour or so and just see where that takes me. All right, folks, we'll see you real soon. Be good. Okie doke.